So the Pirates score 1 run in the bottom of the 7th. That's it. So it's 8th now. Matt Adams got thrown out at the plate. I have no idea what their third base coach was doing, allowing him to even try, because he was out of breath, he's out of shape, and he was out as he ran out of gas at home plate. But Washington leading this one. And like I said, watch out for the Reds. You know, under Jim Riggleman, who was brought in for Brian Price, who was fired, they've been over 500. They're hitting the ball great. Their pitching is getting better. Their pitchers can hit. They can do a lot of stuff. We had a discussion last night about designated hitters on this program, and I'm one of those people who I kind of like the National League way of doing things just because I like strategy in the game. But I understand those who like hitting in the game. And when you look at the overall numbers of National League pitchers in the plate at the batter's box, it's not good. A 115 average. If you factor in all the pitchers who have had to go to the plate this year in the National League, a 115 average. So by and large, they're not going to do much. And we saw that, or at least you thought you saw that on Sunday when Kingham came to the plate with 2 on, 2 out. He had 2 strikes. There's no way he's going to come through with a hit. He was 0 for 14, and yet he laces ones over the head of Rhys Hoskins, and that turns out to be a 2-run double and a game changer. But I understand that argument, but if you'd like to opine about that, feel free to call us as well. Let's go to the lines. We got Jeff in O'Hara Township leading us off here tonight. What's up, Jeff? How are you?
Hello, am I on the air here?
Yes, you are.
Yeah, how you doing? I wanted to know, Bob, about Bell. Why Kevin Colbert won't trade him for a number 1 draft pick or a number 2 draft pick of another team? Why would they want to pay him that kind of money when you could bring a set of young legs in here?
Well, first of all, you know, they're in a situation now where they need him this year. Jeff, because they don't have any. If they should trade him now, after they could sign a franchise tag and then they could trade him. That's what the Miami Dolphins did with Jarvis Landry. So, but they're not going to do that. They want to win right now. That window is open in their opinion. He's a big part of it. And my question to you would be: do you think he's the most important offensive piece, as Damian Woody said today, or do you think it's quarterback, or do you think it's wide receiver? Who do you think?
I think he's trouble for the team.
Well, he certainly didn't have the kind of year that he had the year before. So thanks for the call, Jeff. But he's very important to what they do. And I think at this point they're not going to try. They don't have anyone right now they can bring in. And I don't think ready to handle that workload, even though I like James a lot. But I think it takes time. And I do believe that for them to win this year, Le'Veon Bell needs to be here. They're an under 500 team when he doesn't play, I think, by and large, with injuries. So, you know, I don't know. Bottom line is they've offered him a very generous package. He has turned it down. He is hell-bent on his $17 million a year, which he's not going to get. I'd be shocked if that happened. So the Steelers are where they are, and it likely will end up in the same way. I also believe, though, even when he signs that franchise tag, it'll be July 16th, and when it is, you know, fait accompli that he's not going to get the multi-year deal, I think at that point, Le'Veon Bell needs to get into training camp. Now, you can argue that he's going to do exactly what he did last year, and that's fine for him. But this is a team sport, and I think it sends the wrong message that way. But it also makes him rusty out of the chute, and we saw that last year. I thought his first 3 games were not very good by his standards, and I think you'd have to look back and say, by missing all of camp, by not being around at all until the end of the preseason, he hurt himself and therefore hurt his team. Line 2 we go. It's Rich in Mount Lebanon. What's up, Rich? How are you?
Good, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you for calling.
Hey, I want to know if Clint Hurdle thinks he got all home run hitters on his team. 4 times tonight, all they had to do was bunt the ball down the third base line, and they have the base runner, the first batter up.
Well, what's specific?
The first batter on?
You're talking about early in the game, though, I think.
I'm talking about the whole game.
All right, well, they're just not going to do that early in the game, because that's not the way it's done, and I don't have a problem with that. I'm looking for specific situational bunting, and I think a lot of times he doesn't believe in it. I will agree with you on that, but I don't think every time someone's in scoring position you got to bunt just to get him there.
He wasn't in scoring position. They just get a runner on, try to move somebody around.
All right, well, appreciate the input, but no, they don't have enough home run hitters on this team. Power is still an issue. Polanco's come on of late. One thing I'll say about Clint Hurdle, while most of us were trying to figure out why he was still here, why he was still in the starting lineup, and I'm better off just going to the minors just to work out his problems, but he did it here. Hurdle continued to back him. Hurdle continued to have his back, and the next thing you know, he's put on a pretty good 4 weeks. where he has an OPS that's as good as any right fielder in the game over those last 4 weeks. He's driven the ball with home run power, with RBI power. So he's come out of his real bad slump that he was in. Marte was in a bad slump, and he somehow got out of it too. So, you know, you can wait them out, but at the same time, when you wait them out that long, sometimes you end up hurting your team. That was my point in this whole thing. If a guy's not producing and you have options left and you feel it's a real bad slump, send him down. Put someone else in there and let him work out his problems if you have options available. And they did with Gregory Polanco. Line one we go. It's Paul in Pittsburgh. What's up, Paul? How you doing?
Hey, good evening. Thanks for taking my call, Bob.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to talk about two things. One, the Le'Veon Bell situation, and God forbid, talk about the Lakers basketball, being that we don't have a team in Pittsburgh.
You can talk about it. I welcome NBA calls. You're good. Go ahead.
All right. Well, as far as the Le'Veon Bell situation, I would sign him for 3 years, about $13 million guaranteed. I think that's a fair contract. You know, he looks at it, his age, and the wear and tear on his body. Yeah, he deserves a guaranteed contract, but nowhere near the $17 million. And as far as the NBA move with the Lakers, I'm glad that LeBron went to the Lakers. And I've been hearing on the internet about how well Kobe Bryant's looking. I'm thinking at his age, being the 12th man on the team, that would give them a shot in the playoffs against Golden State. So what's your thoughts about that?
Well, first of all, I don't think that's going to happen, although I've seen players come back from unlikely situations. But, you know, I got to ask the question. I thought the Lakers had a good young team. Now, if they start messing with what they have, vis-a-vis getting rid of guys like Kyle Kuzma, who I think is really good, they already got rid of Julius Randle, who I thought was a really good player coming up.
Right.
And they have some others. If you start trading them to acquire people that LeBron wants, you run the risk of what happened in Cleveland, where he, you know, orchestrated a lot of guys coming in, orchestrated contract extensions for those guys. He was like the GM as well as the star player. I don't like that trend in basketball. I don't. He wants Kawhi Leonard. He wanted Paul George. George stayed with the Thunder. You know, you start bringing in a big three, and then all of a sudden you have nothing left beyond those three. You're in trouble. They have a good young team in L.A. I wouldn't want them to mess with it.
Correct. I'm thinking that keep Kuzma, keep LeVar Ball.
Not LeVar. You don't want LeVar on your
not
team.
LeVar, but, you know, the kid. And I like Brandon Ingram.
I love Brandon Ingram. Brandon Ingram's a really good player.
I wouldn't trade any of them for Kawhi Leonard, which you can get next year. But my thought is, keep what you have. You have LeBron. Now, I would go sign Carmelo Anthony for a 2-year contract, just as that other shooter. But who's a better 12th man in NBA than Kobe Bryant?
He hasn't played in how many years? I don't think that's going to happen.
I don't know. The way they're talking about the way he's practicing, it's a possibility.
All right, we'll see. But thanks for the call. I appreciate the NBA stuff. Yeah, thanks. Let's go out to Pete in Squirrel Hill. What's up, Pete?
Hey, Bob, how are you getting, my friend, tonight?
Good, thanks.
Hey, Bob, listen, last night I got the fan on after the Pirate game, and they're playing different clips and everything, you know? Mm-hmm. So Clint Hurdle says, it's very rarely that you see a player with Starling Marte's skill set. Bob, he's never hit 20 homers. Has he ever driven in 70 runs? Okay? What is he? And he cheated, too. So what game is he watching? And him and Huntington must be drinking the same Kool-Aid because nobody makes more outrageous statements than they do. That's why the organization is pretty much dysfunctional. Thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Skill set just implies that he has a lot of talent, which he does. I don't think there's anyone. I talked to a couple of GMs a few years ago who I know, and one was an ex-GM, and I won't mind telling you it was Jim Bowden, who now works for Sirius Radio and ESPN. He's a good friend of mine. I've known him back since the Sid Thrift days. But Marte does have a great skill set. The problem is he doesn't always use it the right way. He makes some bonehead plays. You know, the baseball IQ isn't always what you want it to be. But, you know, you're right. He has not had those big productive days. But I think when you're looking at the speed, the ability in the outfield, his arm, all of that, he does have the skill set. You're right, though, Pete. He hasn't put it together to the point where he can be a dominant player. And that's what they're looking at. They want both Marte and Polanco to be those dominant players. They need dominant players, not erratic 1 month to the next changes by 100 batting points. I mean, they need a lot more than that. 412-575-2600 is the number to call. Let us know what you think. We're going to take a break, come back with more right here of the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call, only on Pittsburgh CW.